Right. So here is the hymn. It is Trishtup, and it is very rich in content. Let's start with the first verse. Idam utyat purutamam purastat, jyotih tamaso vayunavat astat. They're asking for the link, the same link to always. One minute, I will send the link to the group. Nunam divo duhitaro vibhati, gatum krenavan ushaso janaya. I put also Padapatha here for some reasons. You will see later why. Padapatha is very useful because they split words as they are before Sandhisa or before using them in Kramapatha style or mantra style, as we know. So this is indeed that, the most wide and clear or bright light from the east out of the darkness. Sorry, I missed K. Rose up. Now the daughters of heaven, shining dawns, create the path for people to follow. It's quite straightforward text. There are a few words interesting like Vayunava. You will not find it in the dictionary because long of long are. And that's why I put here Padapatha because he is shorter. And Vayunavat, clear, distinct, bright, possessing clarity, Jyoti. It's a description for Jyoti. So this is indeed that. Idam utyat. These are typical Vedic entries. This is that. This is indeed. U is indeed that. Tyat. Purutamam purastat. The most ancient, the original, the primordial. Purastat from the east. Jyotih, light. Tamasach from the tamas, from the darkness. Bright Vayunavat Astat stood up or rose up. Nunam divodu hitaro vibhatich. Today or now. It's a very good word. Nunam is now, the same etymology actually. Divodu hitaro. The daughters of heaven, there are many of them. It seems that they weave this tapestry of the evolution of consciousness forward. That's why there are many of them, and that's why he asks, who is the original one, the primordial, the one from the beginning? Is it here or not? Among those who are already kind of moving forward the whole evolution. So today or now, the daughters of heaven shining wide, not one, but many, also those who were shining before, they are shining now also. Gatum Krinavan, making the path, Ushasach, the dawns, Janaya, for man. For man to follow, or for the one who is born here in the body, they create for him the path. So the Divine Mother, with her actions in time, constantly creates the path for us to follow, for all those who took the body and are born in the physical body. If you have any questions or want to clarify, you always interrupt simply. Otherwise, I go forward. Astu u chitra ushasach purastat. Again, he repeats himself. There was that they already stood up. He used it astat. Um, there was one Jyoti light, now Astruch, they. Astruch, Uchitra, Ushasach, all these, they stood up, Purastat from the east. Mitaiva Svaravo Advareshu, Vi Uvrajasya Tamaso Duara, Uchanti Avran, Shuchayach Pavakach. They stood bright, the dawns from the east, as if measuring poles of the path of sacrifice. They opened wide the doors of the stables of darkness, the shining ones bright and purifying Pavakach. This is an amazing, rare statement of the dawns, comparing them to the poles, sacrificial poles. Svaru. Svaru is the special sacrificial arrangement, so to say. The pole is put around which is made, decorated with flowers, with the ghee and so on, and around which or to which the sacrificial animal is tied. So these are the poles on the path, which she kind of measuring those poles from one sacrificial act to another sacrificial act, from one surrender and offering to another surrender and offering. And by these surrenderings and offerings on the path, like the poles of the sacrifice, I even can envision it because when she comes, she illumines the path on the which we can see these sacrificial posts. These sacrificial posts are the places where we have to radically change our attitude towards the path and ourselves. Maybe not radically, but significantly change our attitudes towards our yoga sadhana. We cannot keep the same attitude because we acquired new siddhis, new powers, new understanding. And this has to be constantly adjusted. And I think these are the sacrificial posts. By the way, Sri Aurobindo speaks about this to Pavitra also. When Pavitra asks him, he says, for now, this has to be the attitude for yoga. But with certain changes, with certain realizations, the attitude has to be changed. So it's not the same attitude all the time. Yeah? So there will be new kind of vistas, new openings for us. And in that sense, we have to constantly readjust our journey. And I think these are the sacrificial posts as the pillars on the path, marking the path as it is completed. The one part is completed, the other is to be achieved. And also it is compared to opening wide the doors to the stables of the darkness. Vrajasya tamasah duara. Somehow the dawn comes here not to open us to the heavenly doors, yes, only, but also to open for us the doors to the darkness, because there within lies our purpose. We came here for this redemption of those fallen emanations, and there is much wealth there hidden over a long period of time, stolen by those panis and those, valas and dasyas, and hidden there in the subconscious cave. By the way, we will come to the subconscious cave in a minute in the next verse. They will be mentioned. That's why opening the doors to the darkness means we have to, with that light of the dawns, and also with original dawn mixed into all the dawns, holding their foundation, we have to enter into the subconscious cave and to liberate the hidden treasures. And this is the secret of the Veda, basically. Uchanti adya chitayanta bhojan radho deyaya ushasoma goni achitre antah panayah sasantu abudhyamanah tamaso vimadhihe. Today they shine, Uchanti adya, full of plenitude. Maghoni, making you who is ready to give the gift, that is for the one, Radho Deyaya, for the one who is to be given literally, as the realization, or Radhas, as the wealth, or to the one who is ready to surrender, Bhojan, Chitayanta Bhojan. They are illumining or making aware those for him who is ready to surrender the delights, Bhojan. Achitre Antah, in the non-illumined or unconscious Antah inside, Panayah Sasanto, the panis should sleep, Sasanto, imperative. Abudhyamanah, unaware, tamaso vimadhe, in the midst of the darkness. Let unaware panis sleep in the midst of the darkness. Now, this is the central concept, one of the central concepts of the Veda, the panis, the karmendriyas. We can speak about them as karmendriyas in the language of Sankhya. They are the senses of action. And these senses of action, such as hands, legs, procreatory, excretory organs, all that which connects us to the outer world through the physical embodiment, even speech. So these 5 karmendriyas, or these panis, Sri Aurobindo even gives the whole overview of them, and he says that they still carry that meaning of pan to we have it in the pani, hand, yes. We have pada, leg. We have pada, word also. It's kind of interesting to see that they're coming from the same kind of root, or the core root, yes, and develop this meaning of the senses of action. And these senses of action are not even our enemies per se. They are rather unconscious, abudhyamanah. They do not know how to really give themselves. They know only how to grab, how to acquire the light, the power, whatever. They are translated also as traffickers or traders and traffickers of the wealth. But they do not know the value of the wealth. They know that it has value, but what it is, they do not know. Because they evolved from this inconscience. They slowly evolved from the most inconscient level of being. And in that sense, they need consciousness. They are grabbing it. So every time, whenever the dawns come, they bring the light of the beyond. These panis are awakening and grabbing the light. And that's why we lose the awareness. Whenever we come to awareness, whenever we have the insight, it cannot stay long, because these panis are there and they grab it and hide it in the subconscious cave. This is the core of Vedic psychology. By the way, this is the whole difficulty of our own, how to say, psychology as human beings. because we are made here of two constituent parts, yes, of the spirit, our soul, who is totally aware of the divine, who is the divine, the spark of the divine, and this what we acquired, our bodies, our minds, our vitals, which is the full whole universe of these forces, mental forces, vital forces, physical forces. They're all pouring into us. We are not just this body separate from other bodies. We cannot sustain ourselves separately. We need to interact with physical, vital, mental worlds constantly. We are in this ocean. Yeah? We are the composition of all those fallen forces and rising. And in that sense, this is the biggest dichotomy or contradiction of our psychology, that in one side within we know who we are, and on the surface we totally forget who we are. So these forces who are building up the evolution, who are trying to rise and to become the divine, they do not know how to do it other than take whatever comes and hold on to it. So they are snatching the light of the dawn and hiding it. And that's why we cannot sustain that insight or that intuition or that luminous, experience we had. It disappears very fast.
So, Vladimir, I have a question
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Uh, when the Rishi says, let these traffickers sleep unawakened, does it mean make them inactive? I
Yeah.
mean, what does sleep unawakened mean, and how does one do that?
They are unawakened, yes, but mm, they are unaware, bunnies. It's not unawakened sleep. He doesn't want them to snatch that light. He wants that light to stay longer and not to be taken immediately into the subconscious cave, yes. And in that sense, most probably, there is no way out from this anyhow. So I'm sure.
Isn't there a discipline he's pointing to, or an awareness that has to be awakened? He's pointing to that by which these panis are, termed or become incapacitated to do this robbing or stealing. Is there a discipline?
I don't think so. We cannot avoid them. Sri Aurobindo even somewhere describes, says that he always speaks as Veda says also. Panis is the part of these undivine or not anti-divine, but undivine. There's a difference between the two. Undivine movement of nature, because it doesn't know how to really become the divine. And in one place he says that panis are not really the enemies. And this is interesting because they don't want to be the enemies. They want to join the party, only they have no resources. So the only resource they have is to acquire the light, and they have this. So the moment we start moving or talking or whatever, walking, or actively engaged physically, the inner state, that perceptive state, disappears, slowly fades away, or immediately disappears even. That's why the whole process of yoga was developed in such a way that you become calm, you sit down, yes, become still totally physically, vitally. You even stop breathing. Yeah? You stop thinking. Why stop? To dive deeper into the perception of who you truly are. The moment you start moving, thinking, talking, everything disappears. Why? These are the activated panis. They snatch the light. Whatever light little came to the surface, they will take it with them. And it's not very clear why. I was thinking maybe all my life why they snatch it. But it's most probably for that because they can't do otherwise. And they stored a huge luminous, wealth in the cave of wonders, if you will, Aladdin. And that cave of wonders has to be discovered. And Indra comes with Sarama and breaks the Vala and releases these herds of the sun and the dawn, and they re-establish new heaven from within, from the darkness. Because over a long period of evolution, from the very beginning of the fall of the first emanations, we have this problem, snatching the light and storing it into the subconscious cave. It's a huge resource there. Once that is released, this is the secret of the Veda, that in the darkness there is hidden light. Once that is released, then there is no more resistance in receiving the insight. You receive the intuition, it can stay. There is nobody to absorb it, to take it away. Um, well, when you say about Panis that why they should sleep here, he says, yes, and not awakens, because then this higher state will disappear. And Sri Aurobindo, in his, we spoke about this not once, many times. It's the major topic of our discussions every time, in every way. Karma Yoga itself, Sri Aurobindo's Karma Yoga, is what Pavitra was asking. How can I hold on to this state of higher consciousness? When I'm in meditation, it is there. But when I start moving, thinking to resolve some mathematical equation, because he was a mathematician, it disappears. So how to hold on to it and be active, how to be active and perceptive at the same time. This is the dilemma. Either you're perceptive, then you become inactive, or you're active and you lose the inner perception. So how to be both? How to live outside and be receptive of the higher presence? This is the dilemma. Huh? And he told him, you go slow, you hold on to that perception and do mechanically, slowly, not disturbing the perception. You train yourself to be receptive while acting. And by that, you bring light into these panis. I think he himself was doing this work in the ashram. By walking, people say he was walking hours and hours and hours. Boom, boom. They heard the sound of his steps. It wasn't just walking, it was with force. Why? Even the holes are there. They already asphalted it. They covered it up with beton, but with cement. But truly speaking, there were holes in his place because he was walking into this. So what did he really do? We do not know. But I think he was bringing that presence into the panis, into the walking, which is one of the greatest resistance. And
He
today,
actually he actually also said that to maintain the silence and stillness in the mind while doing the outer work,
yeah,
to keep the mind in silence, the silent mind, is the basis
right.
for the yoga. So to keep that, even while engaged in outer work, he tells Pavitra not to let go of the silent mind, keep it always at the background, to be aware of it.
Especially in the settings of the ashram. If you would suggest this to anybody outside the ashram, it would be very different. Because in the ashram was this force. Yes? So when you're silent, the force can act because it was focused on this particular work. So when you become silent, you don't interfere. You don't deviate the whole consciousness away from that force to work. And yeah, so he was bringing, and now today we can see that people have walking meditations. And I think this is something what he did in his room. And not only that, we can also talk and have the insight and presence, which was unthinkable before. We can talk and keep onto this presence, and presence even can grow through speech, which is amazing. and walk. With hands, it's more difficult. Hands and procreatory and excretory organs is altogether very difficult. Tantrics tried to do this also in their own way, but that is altogether different topic. But these are the resistance within the nature which grows from the fallen emanations upward. Yes, never knew how to be selfless because these fallen emanations themselves are totally selfish. Because of that, they fell into their opposite. They never knew how to give themselves. Karmendrias do not know how to give themselves to the divine. They have to learn. And this is transformation. Basically, this is the transformation. Everything else follows, technically speaking. Why he says why they should sleep, it's a kind of puzzling for me also. Maybe in sleep they transform better. While dawn is holding longer, and then when they're sleepy, dreamy, something happens to them. The dawn can manage them better. Yeah, because when they are awakened in their old way. They cannot be awakened in a new way. Yeah?
Could it be that when they're asleep, the higher power can work on them?
That's what I meant. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And
Thank you.
Pavitra asked the mother when in meditation, he says, when I come into that state with contact with you, I become very sleepy and I fall asleep. She says, sleep, sleep. You are much more open when you sleep than this. The mind is silent, but we have to take it in the context of the ashram, yes? And connection with the mother and her attention to Pavitra. It's not like we have to now all fall asleep when we meditate. No. Yeah, this is a revelation of some kind. The dawns and the panis. Panis interfere with the action of these waves of the Divine Mother transforming our nature. And Rishi doesn't want them to interfere. Kovitsa Devich Sanayona Vova Yamob Babhuya Tushasovo Adya Yenana Vagve Angere Dashagve Saptasiye Revati Revat Usha. Here, the whole lineage of what is to happen, Navagva and Dashagva rishis. It's the other most powerful and most important myth. There are two myths, yes, of the Panis, Vala, subconscious cave, which we have to liberate the hidden treasures from the darkness. And the other is this transformation of Navagva rishis into Dashagva rishis with the help of Ayasya rishi. So to break through to the overmental and supramental realm above. And the story of Angiras rishis. So Usha and Angiras rishis, as Sri Aurobindo says, these are two major fundamental myths of Vedic religion. So here we are having these Angiras coming to the myth of the dawn. So is this your new ancient path, Yama, or movement, or goddess, Devi, or goddesses, sorry? Is this your new or ancient path, either, or goddesses, which should have appeared today, or dawns? Babhuyat, interesting form. It's from Babhuva, from the perfect basis with the ya suffix of the optative. Babhuyat, which actually, yeah, which is Yeah, this possible only in the Vedic language. So, Kuvit Sadevi Sanayona Vova Sanayach Old Navach Va on you one Yamach. Yamach is from root Ya, to move, path also, or movement. Is this, what is your old, oh, how to say, is this your new or ancient or original path or movement or goddesses, which should have appeared today, Babhuyat Ushasovi Adya, which have become, maybe become is better than appeared, or dawns, by which you have revealed the wealth within the Navagvas, Yena Navagve Angire in or Dashagve, Saptasiye, within the seven-mouthed one, Revati Revat Usha. This is interesting, a Revati word. I put here the Padapatha because Revatich, you know? And you can see that it is unaccented. That means it is a vocative case. Or Revatis, or those who possess Raich, who possess the luminous wealth. Or you, opulent ones, yes? Usha, you illumined Revat, the, the, the thing, or this, which is full of light, of wealth. Revealed the wealth within Navagva, Navagve, and Dashagvarishis, Dashagve, Angire, Saptasiya, within the seven-mouthed one. Now, why seven-mouthed? It is actually the epithet of Brahmanaspati, Brihaspati, yes? He has seven mouths, he has seven rays, seven words. This is a, I do not know why Brihaspati is mentioned here. Maybe we will figure it out later. Interestingly, if you look at the whole place of how he located the hymns, so Brihaspati was before the hymn. Brihaspati, then Usha, Usha, then Savitar. You will see the kind of the order of revelation. So Brihaspati was mentioned already. And Brihaspati is the main Angiras, yes? He is the one who is the father of all the rishis, seven rishis. It is his seven mouths, rishis, who reveal the word. By the word they create. So you see how prominent and important this light is. And why he's asking again, Kuvitsa Devi, O goddesses, what is your Sanayach Navach Yamach? Is this your old ancient original intent light, or is this new one, totally new, which appeared today for us? What is this? It's kind of question. Why? Why do you think he asks this? Always, again and again. He started with these questions. He was wondering about the original dawn, interwoven into the many other hues of the workings of the Divine Mother. Why does he want to figure out the original dawn? What do you think? He mentions her all the time.
I kind of, you know, uh, see the astronomical kind of image, or like Adidaiva kind of astronomy, in the sense that, is this the day of the have we made it to the winter solstice day or not? Because, like, with the Navagvas and the Dashagvas and the Brihaspati, then we're thinking of this Vala, breaking the cave, with the bunnies. Uh, So I feel like, this calls to mind the astronomy with the Navagwas and the Deshagwas, and whether we've made it to the solstice yet or not. So I mean, because the solstice would be marking, the new path, the Uttarayan. Uh,
Okay.
but if we're in the old, then we're
Okay.
in the
You're
old year
following the
still.
Tilak's vision of the yes of the winter solstice where the shift takes place and the new light appears. Actually, it's very actual for nowadays because this is actually the second day of a new light, yeah? Or third day. So yeah, possible that that is the symbolism which was used. I believe it is more deeper kind of psychological symbolism, but symbols were used from the nature, the language, and the wonderings. Also, those questions. Also, how do they know what? Well, they always knew when it was. Yes, a solstice. It's it's possible to know. It's not something like they have to wonder because they can't count the days. No.
Yeah, well, that's where the Navagwas and the Dashagwas come in, and so there's like a complex calculation. Like, nowadays we just look at the computer and we know the solstice.
Mm,
But it wasn't so easy those days, so that there were these various calculations that I mean, I'm not saying that I'm just saying like this Adhidaiva perspective. So what you're saying, there's this Adhyatma element too,
yes.
and that's for sure, and everywhere. But I'm just focused on that
Yeah. That's
kind of outer symbol, which kind of illuminates that spiritual meaning. Yeah.
right.
If I
Yes.
could jump in here,
Yes.
um, I'm looking on Google, my go-to encyclopedia these days. Um, and one of the things that said in folklore and mythology, in South Asian folklore, the phrase seven mouths is used to describe the seven-mouthed prince, a monstrous figure. In this context, the multiple mouths symbolize monstrousness, highlighting the unique and fearsome nature, and insatiable hunger or a devouring nature, representing an unending need or destructive appetite. So I'm not really quite sure how that fits in here, but it's interesting because it's very different than what Angelo was just talking with us about.
Right. Well, I'm sure that the format of seven mouths can be used as in any many ways. Yes,
Mm.
it's not kind of stuck with one symbol or image, and of course. But in our case, seven rays, seven mouths. Yes, it's Brahaspati in the Rigvedic mythology. If you go to some other, I do not know which
Vladimir,
one. Mm.
could the seven mouth also refer to the states of consciousness and the seven worlds?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is the whole seven thing. Seven rays, seven mouths, seven flames, seven rishis. Yes, absolutely.
I like
That's
that
So,
one better. Yeah.
so then the Navagwa and the Dashagwa rishis are states of these consciousnesses, you know,
you.
within the seven mouthed one. And that is the origin of the goddess, the dawn. The dawn is the dawn of consciousness. That's what I'm trying to understand through these seven rays. And the Navagva and the Shagva rishis are contained within the whole
Yes,
thing.
they belong to this evolutionary process, Navagva and Shambharishis. Sometimes the nine rays and 10 rays. What are these rays? You remember we in our studies. We looked at these 9 levels of consciousness, yes, all the starting with physical, vital, physical, mental, physical, then physical, vital, mental, vital. And then there is physical, mental, vital, mental. This is Navagvarishi. That means covers all levels of consciousness from the bottom to the top. And here is the ceiling, yes, this is it. And then you have to break to the 10th. And this breaking to the 10th is helped by Ayasya also, Rishi, who is invoking Indra. And Indra comes with his lightning and breaks through the ceiling down, brings his lightning down. And then this thing cracked, so to say. The head opened up. Sahasrara chakra opened up to the upper worlds. The upper worlds is the worlds which are standing beyond them. This intuitive mind, the overmind, supramental overmind, the swar world, Trirojanas. So these 3 chakras above and 9 below, one chakra is on the level of the feet, other is on the level of the knees, as Mother speaks about them. Nobody speaks about these chakras ever in the literature. Then Muladhara chakra, the mental, physical, and then we have 3 chakras in the torso, 3 in the head, accordingly to Sahasrara, and 3 above. Altogether 12 levels. But Dashagvarishis, they don't speak about, Dvadasha Gvarishis. They don't speak about 12, because once you broke to the 10th, it is you already beyond, yes? You're starting, because that intuitive lightning of Indra is made of supported by the vastness of the overmental realm of Vishnu, which is supported by the supramental overmind by Savitar, and it is all the outcome, the outburst of the supermind into the darkness. So in a way, that's why it's not needed to mention those other 2 levels. It is similar to Taittiriya. When Taittiriya comes to Anandamaya Purusha, they don't speak about Sat Purusha and Chaitanya Purusha separately, because it's already there. Yeah? They are implied. They are already, Anandamaya Purusha cannot be without Sat and Chaitanya, Chit Purusha. Here the same story. The Shagvarishi is the one who already broke to the overmental realm, to the Swar world. And that means he acquired 3 levels. Interestingly, that Mother speaks about 12 chakras. If Mother would not speak about this, I would never locate what it is all about in the Veda. But she brought this ancient Semitic knowledge from the occultism of 12 chakras. And she speaks even about 12 exteriorizations, which she or that lady in Algeria,
Madam Theon.
Yeah, Alma, she made. She was exteriorizing 12 times up to supermind, she said.
Yeah.
And this, I was thinking, what is these 12 movements from body to body to body to one here, 12 times to the supermind? These are these gavas, rays, or levels of consciousness. So it's very rich, spiritual content here. If they speak, it's packed, Navagva and Dashagvarishis, but there's a huge knowledge behind. Sri Aurobindo speaks also of these Navagva and Dashagvarishis. He says that they may be also mapping the time, 9 months and 10th month Rishi. Now, if you look at our embryo living 9 months in the body, and the 10th is born, even physically, there is some kind of symbolism, which is amazing. So to form the whole being, we need 9 months. To undergo the whole evolution from the simple, singular organism of this to the complex developed human being, you need 9 months.
We have the 10 avatars.
We have 10 avatars which are matching with this levels.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And in Savitri, he talks about the breaking of the golden lid. Sri Aurobindo mentions the breaking of the golden lid, which I think is the lid that you were talking about, the mental lid, which has to be opened by Indra's lightning in order to open up to the higher mental minds, the illumined mind. And
symbolically, yes, most probably that is what we speaking Indra is from the Swar world overmind. What Mother did, she broke the lid of the supermind. She already came to the 12th level, and from there she hit the other level of the resistance. Huh? So yes, these are wonderful this is wonderful knowledge to be engaged with and to see how the Veda is contributing to it. Where Sri Aurobindo most probably took his language and ideas, how to frame the experience he had. Yes, because it is here, it is put into the terms and language, so it is very helpful. Was helpful for him to finally formulate it in terms of levels of consciousness. All right. Interesting. The question here is, who is here, the new or the old, by which you revealed in the Navagva and Dashagva Angiras, in the Saptasya, maybe Angiras is alone also, and Saptasya is also alone. Seven-mouthed one, you revealed, you opulent, reveal the opulence by light. It's it's a puzzling question. Was that the old one or the new one by which you actually made this to happen? Yeah? This revelation, this kind of combination of all the levels into one being in terms of higher consciousness. Who was that? It stays unanswered. Most probably it will never be answered, but the very question is really amazing just to hold on to it. Yeah? Because the very question connects all the dawns, all the hues, all the actions of the Divine Mother in time into one powerful presence. It generates that sense of her action over time, infinite time. Maybe I shall stop here. What do you think?
I wanted to comment that this being the 26th of December, been very focused on Christmas, and the nativity scene has so many of these elements in it. The Christ, the light comes and has to be born in a cave or a stable. When I saw the word stable, open the doors of the dark stable. The light has to be born in a dark stable. And there are various revelations, various goddesses, whatever, who appear to the shepherds and tell them to go to the cave and see what's hidden in the darkness. Then there's also the astronomy aspect of the star that is leading some enlightened ones from the east to find the light in the cave. And interesting about the Magi that they are told in a dream, because here come the Pawnees, here comes Herod to try to destroy the light. And so Jesus and the Holy Family has to go to Egypt as refugees. They have to be asylum seekers because the Pawnees are coming to get him. And the Magi, when they're told in a dream not to, because they've already alerted Herod, they've awakened the Pawnees, that they have to go home by a different route, so that not to give away where the child is, so the child can escape. And that going away a different way, being changed, reminds me of the change from the Navagva to the Dashagva. Anyway, so to me, it just like it looks all representative of the same truth.
Nice, nice. With the cave, with the stable is very interesting. Yes, that he was born in the stable. He had to come into the midst of the matter, into the very dark place to really change it. Yes, as the soul to be born, and then it had to be protected, and had to be secretly carried away. It had to be everything done very carefully there. That carefulness that is also part of it. Should not awaken the Pawnees, because they will snatch the light and start trading it as if it is something of their own. Yes, to use it for themselves, selfishly as they can do it. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I listened to a talk a while back from a monk at the Ramakrishna mission, and he said a very interesting thing. It stayed with me. He said, it's interesting that if the divine wanted to, to us to find him, but then all the sense organs are pointed outwards, right? And the whole journey is to go inwards. So it was it was kind of a humorous comment, right? But it's true, right? I think I think Jayashree was also asking that question, right? And I think it's very interesting. They are all outward facing. We have nothing that is, and the whole goal is to live in the inner being.
Yeah.
So,
Especially karmendriyas, not jnanendriyas. Jnanendriyas can be
yes,
redirected, but karmendriyas cannot be easily redirected inside. You see, they are built for the purpose to relate to outside. They were not built for the purpose to relate to within.
yeah. I had a question on that, Vladimir. Do you think this is related to the development of the ego? Because if it was not, you know,
Yeah,
so maybe the ego would not have been developed, which was necessary in the evolution.
yeah, absolutely. By the way, I have the whole theory of how ego appeared, because ego is not mentioned even in the old Upanishads. It is not there. You see, there are faculties of consciousness which are either oriented outside or within, or they are receiving the inner light on the surface and bring the inner light to the surface. This is the Vedanta yoga of the Upanishads, yes, ancient Upanishads. But then later with Sankhya, the definition of ego comes into play because of the freedom of the mind. With the mental structure, it becomes very prominent. Yes, the freedom of manas to choose any object of sense. It is by the mind that you think, but that you see, by the mind that you hear, says Yajnavalkya. Yes? So mind chooses what to see, what to speak, what to think. That free will of the manas, mind, generates this kind of need for self enjoyment, yes, of the senses. And that need for self enjoyment generates what we call ego sense, ahankara. Ahankara is there always from the beginning because it needs to build this separate individual body. But it wasn't so egoistic ahankara. It was more functional in terms of as a necessity for nature to proceed. But with mental structure, it becomes more and more prominent, more and more articulated, yes, and more misled by that. So purification of ahankara, so to say, of egoism rather than ego sense or ego center, is one big part of the whole yoga, integral yoga also. Yeah? So how it is purified? The aspiration within has to purify it, We have to kindle the flame. Otherwise, our mind chooses wrong directions. Yeah, it has a power to fix our consciousness upon any chosen object of sense. And without this flame within, without the intent to grow in consciousness, it will not grow. It will take all the misleading dawns, all the misleading, senses, enjoyment here, enjoyment there. Why not? Senses have to be enjoying. So you have to make them happy. So Manas is running for this. And that is where the ego sense is being formulated as egoistic and has to be purified. I don't think we can get rid of ego as the ahankara altogether, because it's needed for the work, but it should be much less egoistic and more dedicated to the work of the divine. Once it is surrendered to the divine, it's like you surrender your will, your personal will, to the divine will. This is the highest purification of ego sense. Then there is no problem. The divine can use ahankara. And we need it. We are not yet fully in the divine light. We are not under the divine control. We need the ego to decide things egoistically in the moment where there is nothing but, this, when darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breath, you remember? And the only lamp is the man's corporeal mind, is the only lamp. Man's corporeal mind. Just think about it. This is that. Yeah? So we, in that position, we still have to act. So that ahankara is needed, but we have to understand its shortcomings and its kind of dangers and so on. We have to purify it.
So it is the vital mind, you're saying that from that the sense of egoism came. When would that be fair
To
to say that?
satisfy senses, yes, absolutely. Yes, Amlan.
Sir, I had two questions. My first question is about Saptasya. Saptasya. I was wondering, sir, about the Mundaka Upanishad. It names these seven tongues of fire. Kali, Karali. I was wondering, sir, if I could have your thoughts on that.
Possible, absolutely possible that these are the names of those flames. Yes, because Angiras is the flame, and the main Angiras is Brihaspati. He is also the, yeah. Interestingly, the Brihaspati and the Agni are in a very strange way related. Because Brihaspati is actually a new godhead. It's not an old ancient godhead. It's Angiras. It belongs to Angiras and not Bhargavas, not the ancient Purva Rishaya, but the later, where the flame in the heart was found. He is associated with this flame in the heart, the divine discovered within the heart. And this was discovered later, not immediately. It's not the ancient knowledge. It is knowledge of the evolutionary development. Even Mother speaks about this, yes? She says that the rishis did not know about the flame within the heart, but they discovered it. So if that is so, then we can understand why it is so confusing. Agni is ancient Agni, the son of Rudra, and then Brihaspati, this flame within the heart, seven tongues, seven flames, seven rishis, yes, rising from the depths of the heart, the divine within the heart, is lost within development of Indian tradition quite recently, over thousands of years. There is a myth why he stopped being worshipped in India, because he lied to Shiva about that he saw the end of his Shiva lingam or something. And so he was cursed by Shiva and Shiva. And then we have only 2 temples in India dedicated to Brihaspati. All these stories are actually indicative of something interesting. Then we have transition of Brihaspati to Ganapati, Ganesha. Ganapati, he's called Ganapati in the Veda, Brihaspati. Gananam, you remember Brihaspati's hymn starts with this. And then what happens, they shift. Parvati made out of her body her son without the father. There is no father. And that son, that boy, was so powerful that nobody could conquer him. And so they fought with him. He fought with Shiva. Shiva couldn't conquer him, couldn't kill him. He didn't have enough power. So all the gods came together, Vishnu, Shiva, and started to fight one Ganesha. Yeah. And then they tricked him. It's Puranic story, sorry. They tricked him in such a situation where he didn't see, and Shiva threw Trishul and cut his head from behind, actually. Interestingly. Yeah? And then Parvati became Kali, and everybody got scared. And then finally Shiva agreed. He cut the head of the elephant, put on the Ganesha, and accepted him as his son. Now notice this shift of Brihaspati, of the flame in the heart, becoming the same Agni, who is Kartikeya, actually. So he has 2 sons now. Both represent that flame. One flame in nature, and other flame in the heart. This is amazing. If you just analyze all the development of all the elements of the story, you will understand why Ganesha is the son of Shiva, at least. Yes, because he cut his head. That's how he became his son. Anyhow, it's amazing. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, sir. My second question was a follow-up to Jayashree's question about the Panis being asleep, or so to speak, incapacitated, and then you were speaking of sort of maybe transformation. I was wondering, sir, is there a clue in the hymn which is exchange between Sarama and the Paniyan Asuras?
Yes, absolutely. We have to read that, and we will see what is there. Yeah, Sarama is running in front of Indra. Indra comes to break the Bala. Yes, and Panis try to bribe Sarama and to share the wealth and the spoilings of the stealings of it, millions of years. But she refuses. She says, my master will come and destroy you all, and then you will know who is who. But Sri Aurobindo says that they are not enemies, just do not know what to do with the wealth and do not know how to really join the party truly as self-giving. And they just never experienced it because they survived by not giving oneself. They survived by really establishing this surface. So it's their experience. Now, the attitude has to change. The new pillar, sacrificial, comes on the way, and they have to rediscover themselves anew. They have to give themselves to the divine. All right, I will stop here. We will continue next time. Let me close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. And Happy New Year. So we meet next time.
Happy New Year.